Two cats, a dog, and a bull decided to rob a dairy farm, but they had no idea what deadly dangers awaited them there. How will they escape this real hell? Let's find out. This is a fat orange cat named Garfield. He lives with a dog named Odie and loves lasagna more than anything in the world. Garfield orders food delivery with a drone and eats an entire large pizza by himself. After that, he begins his story. When Garfield was just a kitten, his father abandoned him. The little orange kitten was very scared, but soon he smelled a delicious aroma. It was pizza being served at a local restaurant. Garfield immediately rushed there. Inside, there were many customers, including a sad, lonely man named John. He saw the little kitten outside the window, let him in, and shared his pizza with him. The kitten turned out to be very hungry. While John was ordering lasagna, the little cat ate all the food from the other tables. It seemed this little guy had a huge stomach. John took the gluttonous cat home with him. That's how they had their happy ending. Now Garfield is a grown-up cat and lives with John and Odie in a big house outside the city. The cat and dog are always causing trouble and disturbing John's work, but they certainly keep life interesting. Garfield's biggest problem is trips to the vet, although sometimes he runs into other troubles. To lift his spirits, our orange hero eats a lot, makes spontaneous purchases, and watches cat flicks. Still, he occasionally takes care of his owner. One night, Garfield and Odie woke up hungry and decided to grab a snack. Suddenly, two dogs, Roland and Nolan, broke into their home and kidnapped our heroes. They were taken to an abandoned shopping mall and hung by their paws. Then, someone else appeared in the mall. A mysterious figure in a black cloak rescued the cat and the dog. It was Vic, Garfield's father. Our orange cat wasn't too happy to see his father, as he had abandoned him in an alley when he was just a kitten. Soon, Garfield, Odie, and Vic realized they were not alone. A crazed Persian cat named Jinx appeared behind them. She invited our heroes to her table, drank a glass of milk, and began her story. Jinx used to be a model cat and was incredibly popular. However, she failed at a talent show and ended up on the streets. There she met Vic and his friends. They became robbers and once went to a farm to steal as much milk as they could. But there, Jinx was caught, and Vic abandoned her, not coming to her aid. The Persian cat was thrown in jail, where she suffered terribly. Jinx met Roland and Nolan, and together they escaped from prison. Now, her greatest wish is to take revenge on Vic for betraying her. Jinx kidnapped Garfield and Odie to lure Vic to her lair. She demands that our heroes return to the same farm and steal a milk tanker for her. If they refuse, they'll become playthings for Roland and Nolan. They only have 72 hours to complete the task. Jinx's dogs will be watching them closely and won't let anyone escape. In the morning, John notices that his pets are missing. He quickly realizes they've been kidnapped and calls the animal search service but can't reach an operator. To get to the dairy farm, our heroes jump onto a moving train. As usual, Garfield is less lucky than the others, and the orange kitty has to do a lot of flying before finally landing on the train. Vic tries to bond with his son and teach him some feline skills, but Garfield doesn't want to listen and goes to sleep. However, he doesn't sleep long as hundreds of spiders disturb him. Our heroes arrive at the dairy farm. It offers tours for adults and children, has plenty of attractions, and features animators in cow and bull costumes. This farm is also heavily guarded by the latest security system. Garfield bumps his head on a tree and notices a sad bull on the hillside. It's Otto, the former mascot of this farm. Garfield sings him a cheerful song about dairy products and asks Otto for help. The bull reveals that a few years ago his farm went bankrupt. A new owner bought it and Otto was thrown out. Now he misses his beloved cow, Ethel, terribly. So, our heroes offer Otto a deal. He helps them get onto the farm, and they'll rescue Ethel. The bull agrees and draws a map of the farm. He shows where the milk tanks, the zoo, and the cheese and butter processing plant are located. Vic is to use the frog strategy, and Odie is to act like a chipmunk. Their first task is to get into the electrical room and sneak inside through the ventilation. They'll end up in the cooling chamber, steal the keys to the milk truck, and free Ethel. Otto puts Garfield and Vic through grueling training, forcing them to use all their cat reflexes, including strength, agility, endurance. and the ability to run very fast. Otto wants to teach Garfield and Vic teamwork, so he asks Odie to tie both orange cats to a tree. At first, father and son continue to argue and fight, but at some point, Vic tells Garfield the whole truth. He actually loved his son very much and would never have abandoned him. Unfortunately, they often had to go hungry. That night when Vic left him, he actually went to find food for his little one and was rummaging through a dumpster. When he returned, he saw Garfield in an Italian restaurant with John. Vic realized that this man could take better care of Garfield than he could, so he allowed him to take his son. All this time, Vic secretly watched over Garfield to make sure his little one was happy. Learning this, Garfield forgives his father. Otto decides that they are now ready for the heist. Meanwhile, we learn that the devious and insane Jinx has no intention of forgiving Vic for betraying her. She calls the ruthless animal control service on the farm and tips them off about the upcoming heist. The head of security, named March, uses an animal translator and prepares to catch the audacious robbers. The next morning, Vic, Garfield, and Odie sneak onto the farm in children's backpacks and use acorns as radios. They find the electrical room and spot a ventilation hatch inside. Farm workers appear, and our heroes use their amazing camouflage skills to avoid being caught. They jump into the ventilation hatch, fly through the pipes, and end up in the milk and butter processing plant. Garfield lands right on a giant block of cheese and, along with it, is carried towards a shredder, a giant grater. At the last second, Garfield manages to jump onto another block of cheese. Now he's being carried toward a huge boiling fondue pot. Odie makes a rope out of cheese and saves his best friend. But now Garfield has a new problem. He's caught under sharp knives. Vic miraculously saves his son and Odie from certain doom. Our heroes want to steal the milk truck, but March appears in their path. They engage in a fierce battle with the guard. Garfield contacts Otto and asks him for help. The bull charges at the gates and distracts March. Vic steals the keys to the milk truck and escapes, leaving his son and Odie with the furious guard. Vic frees Ethel, but the cow is immediately grabbed and dragged back, while Otto is electrocuted by March's stun gun. Their grand plan has failed. Garfield and Odie are sent to an animal shelter. Vic delivers the milk truck to Jinx, but the crazy cat doesn't need it. She only dreams of revenge. Garfield is deeply disappointed. His father has abandoned him again. In the shelter, our heroes meet the old crew, the street cats who used to rob with Vic. All the cats unanimously call Vic a traitor because he constantly left them to check on his son. Garfield refuses to believe this. Soon, John arrives at the shelter and rescues his beloved pets. They return home and enjoy a normal, peaceful life without any more adventures. The best part is that they can once again indulge in their favorite lasagna with cheese. Suddenly, Garfield remembers Vic. He finds his father's marks on a large tree across from his house and realizes that Vic really had been watching over him all along. Vic loved him and left him on the dairy farm to protect him from Jinx. Garfield and Odie head back to the abandoned mall and see that Jinx is about to throw Vic off a high bridge into the canyon below, where a passing train is approaching. Garfield contacts Otto using the acorn radio, and together they come up with a plan to save Vic. Garfield finds his father, but Jinx grabs an axe. Garfield and Vic climb onto the roof of the train, but they are pursued by Roland and Nolan. Suddenly, food delivery drones appear in the sky, summoned by Garfield. Our orange cat jumps onto one of them and even manages to grab a bite on the fly. Roland grabs Vic, but Garfield uses hot pepper to blind him and drinks an entire jar of hot sauce to breathe fire like a real dragon. Now they have to jump down onto the net that Odie has stretched out below. They make the jump, but the net turns out to be too tight, and they bounce up like on a trampoline, flying into the car with the crazed Jinx and her henchmen. Now the evil cat wants to throw them both off the bridge. Seeing how sincerely Vic and Garfield love each other, Roland and Nolan refuse to follow Jinx's orders. Enraged, the furious cat throws them all off the train, but she ends up falling after them. Our heroes grab onto each other, paws and all, and are saved by Otto, who swings them all into the net that Odie set up. Even the wicked Jinx survives. Later, they return to the farm in the stolen milk truck and strike a deal with March to exchange the criminal Jinx for Ethel the cow. Now Otto can be with his beloved once again. Garfield, Odie, and Vic return home. Father and son are no longer angry at each other. Together, Garfield prepares a festive dinner for the whole family. Despite everything, it turns out to be delicious. It looks like John will now have to spend all his money on food for these cats, as they both love to eat well. Now John will be woken up every morning, not by one cat, but by two, and their home will always be lively with parties, as the animals have much more fun together. This is the end of the movie. That's all for today. Subscribe and like if you want more videos like this.